Does it bother you that I'm not completely human?
You are the most human person I have ever met.
Didn't I tell you to be home before dark?
I just lost track of time.
Alita.
You have to be responsible. You are someone very special.
Hey, kid.
Not just a teenage girl.
Hey, what's your problem?
You can't remember.
What do you mean?
Doc found you in the scrapyard. So you must be from up there.
Alright, hello listeners, and welcome to episode 41 of the DNA Film Wars podcast. Today we are reviewing the film Alita, Battle Angel.
Directed by Robert Rodriguez, written by James Cameron, Laeta Kalogridis, I don't even know how to pronounce that. Kalogridis and Robert Rodriguez.
And based on the graphic novel by Yukito Kishiro. So,
starring Rosa Salazar, Christoph Waltz, Jennifer Connelly, Mahershala Ali,
and
some other people. Ed Serkin's in this movie. There's a lot of people in this movie.
Yeah, so anyway, I guess let's go ahead and get started.
Let me get some initial thoughts from you, man.
Alright, so I'm going to say that I'll start with saying that I have watched several live action anime / manga adaptations. This movie is based on a manga. There hasn't been an anime that I'm aware of Alita yet. I'll go ahead and say it's the best live action anime / manga adaptation that I've seen. That's a really low bar to clear, though. This movie's alright. It's entertaining for the most part, but the special effects are really good. But there's definitely a lot of narrative problems that it suffers from.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about how much these special effects and action sequences, I think, overcome them as we go along. But what about you? What do you think?
I mean, it was somewhat better than I thought it was going to be. I mean, I honestly, like I said, this was like my least anticipated movie on our 2019 look forward. This was like, I think, my on my least anticipated list for movies I didn't want to see this year. So I'll say that it wasn't near as bad as I thought it was going to be. It's not good by any stretch of the imagination. There are good aspects about it. I think all the action, honestly, I think all the action looks really good, and I think it's entertaining, and the special effects are great. Even the score is pretty good in this movie, but it's just it's there. It's a movie.
Yeah, that's it. It's a movie. Well, let's go ahead and jump into the plot, I guess. So we start out at the very beginning of the story, really. Doc, what is his name? Ito?
Yep, Dyson Ito. Played by Christoph
Waltz. Is digging around in the scrapyard where all the scrap from the rich city up above.
Well, I guess let's really start off with we actually start off with the 20th Century Fox logo, that then transitions into 26th Century Fox.
Get it?
And we find out it's like 25, 30...
2653 or something?
It's like 2553 or something like that, or 2563.
2563.
And and then we get a title card that says 300 years after the fall.
And the fall, I guess, was like
this great
war where all these cities in the sky, like the one above Iron City or whatever they call it, the rest of them fell. We also learn real quick, so the rich people live up in the sky, because this is a pretty basic rich people bad, poor people good story. The rich people live up in the sky and dump all the trash on the poor people below. I mean, a very heavy-handed metaphor there. And so all our characters that we are going to watch are down in Iron City. I think that's what they call it.
Yeah, it's Iron City.
And Doc Ito is...
a cyborg surgeon.
Basically, yes. He applies cybernetic limbs to people, and he is digging around in the scrapyard for parts, and he finds the head or the upper body of a cyborg with its brain still intact.
It's got a human brain, we might add.
Yes. And he takes it home, and he puts a body on it that we later learn was meant for his daughter.
Who has died.
And Alita is born. Alita was the name of his daughter, who he applied to this little girl. Cyborg girl. So
it's a little strange.
What do you think about this setup here? What do you think about the city in the sky, the Iron City? I forget what they call the city in the sky, but the Iron City.
I can't remember either right now. But I mean, which is really sad because we just watched.
That.
If that tells you anything.
Yeah. There's so much terminology thrown at you during this movie.
I mean, overall, the setup's not terrible. I mean, I can get behind, Christoph Waltz's character of Dr. Ito, finding this cyborg, and he's like, oh, I have a second chance at being a father again, which is basically his intention, is being a second chance at being a father, is what I gathered from it, and he creates her or brings her back to life, and kind of tries to nurture her in a way. But I mean, for the most part, I mean, like this first 15-ish minutes before we start really getting into the action is not bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can get behind it.
I'll say that this is a pretty typical manga or anime post-apocalyptic setup. I mean, if you've seen Akira, the famous 80s anime cartoon that really helped to revolutionize or really popularize anime over here in the States, I mean, not the same setup, but I mean, it was a lot of the same post-apocalypse with teenagers, on really fancy bikes, running around. If you've seen, of course, cybernetic stuff, limbs and stuff, very popular in anime. If you've seen Full Metal Alchemist, like the main character has a robot arm and leg, and they pretty much any anime goes in the shell. Like has mech stuff in it, like what's that? Evangelion. They are in literal giant mech suits. I mean, mech stuff. I mean, obviously, if it's not new, but they combine some of the better elements, I think, of animes and mangas here, and have put it in the same world. Of course, this is all credit to the writer of the manga, not necessarily the creators of this movie. But I will say that the creators of this movie have done a really great job bringing this stuff to life. This movie is 90% CGI.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And the CGI is good. I mean,
the 10% that's not CGI is the real actors that are in it, which is not a tremendous amount.
It's Christoph Waltz.
There's like 4 actual real actors in this
entire
movie.
they CGI some actual people's faces on some robot bodies, and I mean, but 90% of this movie is CGI. And it's good CGI. I mean, because it's all CGI.
I'll give Robert Rodriguez and James Cameron this. They did a great job bringing this world to life. And it looks cool.
It looks really cool.
That was one of my biggest fears walking into this movie, is that the CGI was going to be bad. When I first saw the first trailer for this, I was like, I don't know. I mean, that CGI could be rough.
The Alita looks really good.
I think Alita looks a lot better than I thought it was going to be, especially from that first trailer that I saw. I thought she was going to look pretty rough. Yeah. But, I mean, she is supposed to look a little, not real, a little cartoonish, but it looks a lot better than I thought it was going to.
Like I said, because everything in this world is CGI, you're not comparing and contrasting real stuff to fake stuff. I mean, it all looks great. So, no problems there. But the plot from the very beginning is kind of, there's just a lot thrown at you. And I'll go ahead and talk about when you are... This movie runs into the same problem. It's not a new problem. Any adaptation of anything, like a TV show, a book, especially anime and manga,
it tries to cram a lot of stuff into.
They are taking a ton of content and they are condensing it down to 2 hours. And when you do that, you're going to have problems. I don't know how faithful this is to the anime. From what I understand, it's pretty close. Manga, I'm sorry, but from what I heard, it's pretty faithful. And I think, if you're just looking at it from, like, for me, like, I'll be honest, I haven't read any of the manga. So I'm just reviewing this on a total, from a movie standpoint, from how it is as a film. It needed to be streamlined quite a bit. Now, I know when you streamline stuff, you leave out stuff and you tick off fans. And I understand that. I've watched live action adaptations of animes or, cartoons or anything that they leave stuff out, and I realize that can be bothersome. You watch Bayformers, they radically change some stuff up. If you you see
anything that's based on a book,
but let me take an example here. Something I think was really streamlined, that they really streamlined the heck out of it, but I think it really worked. Take the last It movie, for example. They took and I realize they're splitting it into 2 parts, but you just looking at the first movie, you take that book, which is like 1,200 pages. They completely took out half the book and saved it for the second movie. They took out the
entire adult storyline.
The adult storyline, which it works because because the way the book is set up, you're
It's
able
back and forth, isn't it, in the book?
in the book it's back and forth. Let's forget about the 90s TV show.
Kind of like
for
the
a second.
90s TV show, yeah.
Well, the 90s TV show, they did a little bit back and forth, but they kept it mostly one episode
Mostly
to the kids,
adult.
most of the second episode to the adult. But let's forget about that for a second. Just in the book, they just go back and they're switching back and forth the whole time, and it's pretty hard. Actually, if you read the book, that's one of the few drawbacks I'll give that book is that sometimes it gets a little confusing as to what era you're in. But because the way the book is set up, you can tell a complete story just with that half of the book, the kid half. So they completely removed half the novel, and then they went on to change up a lot of things that happened in the novel. Like they took out the child orgy scene in the novel, which I mean is the best choice they made. You can't do that. You cannot.
Originally, the original script for it had it in the movie. From what I heard, but then the production company and I believe the director was like, we can't put that in this movie. We'll get a really hard R rating, if not an NC-17 rating. We're gonna put our child actors through a really traumatic experience.
You can't even infer it happened. Like that's just a bad. So they made a really smart choice. They filtered that out.
They did kind of like do something in a way to like still provide that loss of innocence that I guess they're going for in the book.
And I think Stephen King just got a twisted imagination, but yeah, and I see what you're saying. They pulled that off, and they also sort of, I hate the word they use, generalized, but that's what they did. They really kind of more generalized Pennywise into a little bit more of a palatable generic monster than what he was in the book, to really snatch in those mainstream audiences. And they changed some scenes around, they changed some scenes up, and anyway, after it was all said and done, it's still a really good movie, but it's super streamlined. So let's get back to Alita, what we're talking about here. I got a feeling that this is not streamlined really. I'm sure they had to leave a few things out and maybe change a couple things up, but I get the feeling that most of what we see here in this most of what we see in this movie is pretty faithful to what we see in this anime or in the manga, which I'm sure will please fans. I'm sure a lot of the stuff that we see is a big deal to fans, but for just layman moviegoers
that have not read anything or read any of the manga, it's like there's a lot of content, a lot of things being thrown at us, and you're like, I don't know what this is, who this is, what's going on here, and people are kind of just introduced and just thrown at you, and you're like,
and then they kind of just leave and drop out. And I mean, it's just what it is. So let's go ahead and I guess continue with the plot.
Alita starts discovering the world.
Yeah, she starts discovering the world, and really early on, we see an actress who I have not seen in
Jennifer
a long
Connelly.
time. I know she's been working. I had to say the last movie that I've seen her in was Ang Lee's Hulk. 16 years ago. I guess she was. I don't know, when did that movie with Russell Crowe come out?
Which one?
A Beautiful Mind or whatever.
Oh, a long time ago.
I seen her in that. That was still a long time ago. That was her. I think that was Jennifer Connelly in that. But other than that, like I said, I'm sure she's been working, but I don't know what she's been working in because I haven't watched it. So it's been a while since I've seen her.
She's probably been in stuff that we've seen. We just can't remember it or realize it.
Yeah, she might.
Or she doesn't play a huge role in it. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, my point is, I haven't seen her in a long time in a movie that's come out in a long time. So. Good to see she's still working, still has a job. She's given a pretty thankless role in this movie, though. She's
underutilized, yeah.
Yeah, she has a cringy scene later on we'll talk about.
We find out Alita walks out of Ito's little shop or house or whatever, and Jennifer Connelly stops her because she recognizes the body. And we find out that this is the scene where we find out that the body was built for Ito's daughter, who we find out is actually Jennifer Connelly's character of Sharon. Her and Ito were a couple, or I guess married, and that was their daughter together, who passed away. And we find out that, and that's how we find out, this is Alita's body that she's in is their daughter's.
Yeah. And Sharon is trying to talk Ito into coming and helping her with her practice. We're not really sure what that is yet. We found out pretty quick she's working with Mahershala Ali.
Character of Vector.
If you've watched the trailers, you know he's a bad guy. But, you wouldn't have to watch the trailer to know he's a bad guy. So,
speaking of Mahershala Ali, that is another person who's really underutilized in this film.
Yeah.
For as talented as Mahershala Ali is, he should have been a bigger focus in this movie.
Yeah, definitely. He's kind
of just like maniacal overlord, but doesn't really have the maniacal overlord because really he's being controlled by another big baddie.
Mm-hmm. We'll talk about him at the end. What's his name? Nova?
Nova, yeah, he's controlled by Nova.
Yeah, and but we also run into the love interest of this film, who I think is the worst part of this movie. Hugo.
Played by Keean Johnson.
He's pretty new on the scene, I think. One of his friends is actually the kid from Bumblebee.
Is it?
I forgot his name now.
Jorge Lindenborg Jr.
Yeah, we said it wrong. I think we said George in the Bumblebee review. But anyway, yeah, he's a kind of a background character in this. I have a real problem with what they do with his character towards the end, or not really what they do with him, but how the other characters react to it. Just kind of, I found funny. But anyway, yeah, I don't really like. I think that first way to streamline this movie, cut out Hugo and everything to do with Hugo. Cause I mean, I realize they use him as a plot device that show her like learning about the world. We also have this idea of Motorball introduced which
is a game
which
on powerized roller blades.
Yeah, I have a kind of a I realize this is another thing that I feel like should have been streamlined. They make a huge deal out of this Motorball
it's a big plot point in the movie, honestly.
For it to really not do much at the end. Like, they could have really... the action sequence they use it for, which is a cool action sequence, don't get me wrong, but really, the fact that they're playing Motorball has very little to do with the actual plot.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's kind of it's kind of a big plot point, but at the same time, it's not, like, really used to help drive the
It's not like in Harry Potter when they do, what's it called?
Quidditch.
Like, Quidditch, they really work that into the plot really well there, I think, in whatever.
Like this, we have a scene toward the beginning of the film where
they play it on the street,
and they play it on the street, and she like picks it up really well, and you kind of see some of her like fighting instincts start to come out. But then we have a scene later on, where Hugo basically sells out Alita and gets her to play Motorball so they can both go to the whatever city in the sky.
Yeah, we're kind of skipping ahead, but yeah.
And then she gets in this big, like, basically a scouting event, like a practice thing.
Well, let's backtrack first before we get into all that.
It's just, I don't even know.
But first of all, so yeah, like I said, we have this whole exploring the world with Alita, so we're kind of learning about the world. She's learning about it. There's these big sentry things that walk around
Centurions
that kind of enforce the law or whatever. But one of the plot points early on is that these girls are being murdered after night, and she notices that Ito comes back one day with a wound on his arm, and she saw him sneaking out the night before. So later she follows him, and she thinks he's about to murder this innocent girl, but it turns out he was going to try to save her from these evil robot
cyborg things.
But it also turns out it was a trap because she was an evil cyborg thing too. And this is our first big action sequence here, where Alita takes down these three cyborgs with very little effort. And we learn that Ito is what do they call him?
Hunter warrior.
A hunter warrior that instead of cops, we have hunter warriors who go and collect bounties
on these
criminals,
bad cyborgs, or people murdering.
Well, I think it can be anybody because they try to collect a bounty on Hugo later too. So anybody, criminals that are have a bounty on their head,
and they basically just turn them into the Centurions.
Yeah, turn them into they kill them and then just confirm their kill basically to the Centurions. And Alita wants to be one. Ito doesn't want her to be one. So they kind of have a rift there from the start.
She does it anyway.
There's a lot of plotting going on here. I don't remember all of it. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff's being thrown at us. I think, again, for streamlining purposes, I think a lot of this could have either been cut out or changed in a way to make it a little more digestible in a 2-hour movie. But, I mean, it's whatever. I'm not really sure why these robot people are murdering these women. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, why? Oh, well, okay, I take that back. I do know why.
Nova's telling him to do it.
Nova's telling him to do it because he wants their brains, I guess. See, there's kind of a loose connection there. Okay. I guess I can get it thinking about it.
During this scene, we also get our first flashback sequence of where Alita's, trying to find out. This entire time she's trying to find out
she says
who
amnesia.
she really is. And during this scene, she's taking down the character of Gruishka, played by Jack Earl Haley.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't even realize that was Jack Earl Haley in the movie until his name came across the screen. I was like, oh my gosh, that's who that was. She's taking him down, and she's like mid-jump, and she's saying, "Hiya!"
Hiya!
And she has a flashback where we see Michelle Rodriguez. I swear it's Michelle Rodriguez. It's
I
not
didn't see her
confirmed
name
yet.
in the credits anywhere.
I didn't see her name in the credits. We'll have to find out here in a second.
But it has to be. I mean, there's no way it's not.
There's no way it's not. It sounds just like her, and
Yeah.
the CGI face looks like her.
Totally.
She's on the moon, like, fighting this battle, and she's called 99, and we see, like, some stuff going on.
Yeah, and so that's the first. And so now she's really interested in what she is. Ito still won't tell her, so but
her and Hugo and all their group of friends go out venture out into the Badlands.
Okay, I hate the term Badlands because that's like used for every generic sci-fi post-apocalyptic world ever now.
Anywhere outside the city is the Badlands.
Yeah, the Badlands. But anyway, so we go out into the Badlands. We find a crashed starship.
From the people, which is like the United something of Mars.
The United Republic of Mars
or something like that.
Republics of Mars. Anyway, and she knows the layout of the ship, so she
dives into the water.
And she goes and finds a new suit, a new body that Ito initially refuses to attach her to.
And we find out that it's an he calls it an a berserker body or something like that.
Yeah.
And her core is designed to like mesh and meld with the suit very well.
And she's basically an advanced fighting weapon, the most advanced fighting weapon ever built.
She's about 300 years old too.
She's about 300 years old. Anyway, but he refuses to put it on her, so she gets mad. She goes to this bar where all the bounty hunters hang out.
Yeah, she's then after she leaves, she becomes a hunter warrior and goes to this bar where all the other bounty hunters.
And she picks a fight with Ed
Serkin's character.
Is that Serkin?
Skrein.
Anyway, Zapan, whatever you call him. It's kind of like Japan, but Zapan, just
whatever.
Z. But and he's like a douchebag, total douche. And
he's got this fancy sword.
He's got a fancy sword, and he's really petty about his face. And
she picks a fight with a bunch of people.
She basically beats up this whole bar of people just to try to bring the. She's trying to convince them to fight with her to bring down what was his name? Gruishka. And they kind of just laugh her off. But and then Gruishka shows up, and her and him have a fight. This is the one fight in the whole movie that she sort of loses. That he actually has her beat, and then he's kind of mocking her, and it gives her a chance to basically shove her arm through his eye. And then I said her father, which he kind of is her father, I guess. Ito and her boyfriend catch up to her, and basically she's damaged.
Run off Gruishka. She's damaged him enough for them to run him off. And so now take her back to
Ito's basically forced to attach the body to her. We learn it's made of basically nano metal that transforms to whatever. I mean, like her image of herself or something.
Yeah.
And
I feel
like
highly skilled
this movie is really dense because I feel like we're skipping over a lot, but this is the main plot story here that we're kind of covering. During this whole thing, we've been kind of following along with Mahershala Ali and Sheeran. And
Vector and Sheeran,
and she's. We
find out that they're kind of working in this motorball thing, and they basically Mahershala Ali's character Vector is basically controlling, rigging it,
to keep it
and
fair.
Jennifer Connelly's character Sheeran is the person who's basically giving these people their upgrades to win or become the main champion or whatever it's called.
And her whole goal, she wants to get back to the city in the sky, and she thinks that Vector will give her that.
Which we find out Vector doesn't or can't.
You can't, won't. But Nova also promises it to her later too. But anyway, and so Vector learns about Alita, and basically, Nova
bribes Hugo.
We figure out Hugo is part of him and his friends are part of this little group that. When Vector wants to take out a champion, they go and strip him for parts, and he sells the parts for money, so he can earn money. Yeah, he earns money so he can go up to the city in the sky, because that's where everybody in this movie wants to go. I'm super sorry we can't remember the name of the city, but we're just gonna keep referring to it as the city in the sky. Hugo is, like you said, bribed by Vector, and Vector basically tells Hugo to tell Alita to join the motorball games or something.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure how all the bribing went down. Of course, we have to have
It's just implied.
we have to have a shirtless scene with Hugo. When Alita, like, I don't really understand this scene. Alita's like literally like takes her heart out of her. That's like this heart, like the most advanced piece of technology ever, and it's like, here, just take it. And I'm like, okay, I don't see the point of that, but whatever. Everything with the romance in this movie is really forced.
It's pretty rough,
and I don't like it. And anyway, so the way for them to make their money to go to the place they want to go, they decide she's going to enter the motorball tournament, and so she does. And we have the climax of the film, really.
Zalem.
The climax of the film, really, I guess, is where this scene with the motorball scrimmage. It's really just a motorball. Like,
yeah, it's basically a tryout for her to like try to join the champion league or whatever.
So, I mean, it's a cool scene. They have this little ball they chase around in these metal tubes, and they're going at super fast speeds on rollerblades. And
Alita's basically just demolishing everyone and taking everyone
out. Vector has hired, everybody else in this tryout is being hired by Vector to try, or he's offered whoever kills Alita $500,000 or something. And so they're all trying to kill her. She kills all them. She kills a lot of people in this movie.
She kills most of the people, and then we find out that during this whole process that Hugo's being chased by Zapan.
Oh, yeah.
Who, we have the scene that you were talking about earlier where his friend gets...
Okay, yeah, this is the scene that kind of bugs me, like, from, like, I don't know how I would react, but him and his friend get into a fight because Hugo goes to his friend and is like, the one that plays in Bumblebee, and is like, I'm out, and his friend and him get into a fight, but then Ed Skrein, whatever his name is, Zapan shows up, and
kills this guy that he's stripping.
Cuts
parts off of.
Tangy, the friend, in half.
Straight in half.
And Hugo just runs off, and it's just kind of like, oh well. He's dead. So like, oh no, my friend's dead.
We find out Zapan's kind of trying to frame him for murder.
Yeah, he's trying to frame him for murder.
Get a bounty for him or whatever.
And he does successfully get a bounty on his head. So Alita, after, brutalizing everybody in this motorball tournament,
3/4, she chases two people out.
Yeah, well, two people chase her out.
Yeah.
And then she gets rid of them outside of the tournament.
Yeah.
She goes and
is trying to save Hugo from Zapan.
But then she sees a bounty on him, so
she gets a little pissy.
She gets a little pissy because she figures out what he's been doing. And she
loves him.
I don't know if she really contemplates killing him or just she kind of walks up to him and then Zapan stabs him.
He's like, let me make it a little easier for you, and stabs him.
Yeah, and then so she carries him into the
old church
thing, and
Sharon shows up. And for some reason, not well explained, she has a change of heart. It's I guess it's implied that she overhears him saying something about how Hugo wants to go to Zalem or whatever, and she's like, everyone goes to Zalem, and he says it in a maniacal way, and she's like, well, no one ever really goes there. Yeah, so she realizes, she doesn't have a chance.
Yeah, so then she goes and she helps him out. They cut off Hugo's head, and but they attach it to Alita's heart to keep the blood flowing or whatever, long enough for her to go and confirm the kill to the Centurions. Slice off Zapan's face because he violates rules.
No, Alita does. She yanks his sword out and slices off his face because she's allowed to kill him, basically.
Because he tried to steal the body or the kill or whatever.
Basically trying to steal her kill.
And then she goes back to Ito, and Ito attaches a new... I guess robot bodies just fall from the sky. Literally fall from the sky in this show because he has another one that he puts Hugo's body on. And then I figured this movie was going to be ending by about this point because I felt like that scene in the motorball tournament had to be the climax. And I guess it technically was, but we still have a little ways to go.
15 minutes or so.
Yeah, because we go...
I honestly thought that it should have ended with him waking up and then, connecting. It could have been over then.
Yeah. But these factories that are in the movie have these tubes leading up to Zalem. And I guess transporting parts to and from Zalem. And he decides that he's going to climb up there because I guess he's decided...
you're skipping over a pretty decent scene, too.
Which one?
Before that. So, after, Alita, finds out that he's all safe or whatever. She basically is going to take out Vector. And Jennifer Connelly is having this whole thing.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Jennifer Connelly's character of Sharon has gone to talk to Vector, and she's like, I'm out. And it's implied that she's been killed. Mm-hmm. And then we flash forward, or we flash to, a side scene where we start seeing Hugo walking up this tube or whatever. Then we go back, and we have this whole conversation after we have this showdown between Gruishka and Alita. And she ends up, using this fancy sword that she got of Japan to take him out, and she kills him. And then she's like, I want to talk to Nova, who can communicate through Mahershala Ali's character of Vector. She ends up killing Vector, and we get some maniacal, questionable dialogue from.
I think
Hugo.
Most of the dialogue in this movie is questionable.
Yeah. And then we had that scene, and then, and then we see, Nova is like, talking, and he's like, I promised Sharon that she could go to Zalem or whatever, and he opens up this box, and it's like her brain and hands and stuff, and her eyeballs and all kinds of, and you're like, oh, well, all right.
That sucks.
And then Alita, kills Vector. Nova gets out of his body or whatever.
Nova, before this, threatened, like, he's like, I maybe not be able to get you, but I can get the ones
other
you love, like the Ito and Hugo. So then she gets a call from Ito, and he's like,
Hugo left. He ran away.
Well, they came for Hugo, and I helped him escape, and now he ran away, and he's trying to get up to
He's going up, but yeah.
So she goes up to, like I said, these tubes that transport parts to the city, and we had seen in a flashback earlier where while she was in this big war or whatever, they were going up one of these tubes, and they had like this big spinning blade thing that comes down to keep people from climbing up it, and it like chops people up. So I saw what was coming. But
so did I.
Yeah, so they're climbing up, and I guess at this point Hugo has decided that the going to what's it called?
Zalem,
Jesus. The going to Zalem is more important than staying with Alita, which
you're like, oof, wow.
Okay. Which I actually kind of like, when people make dark decisions like that. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's one of the best things this character's done in all of the movie. Only interesting decision he's made. But anyway,
so Alita chases after him. She runs.
She's talking him down from it, and he's fine. I think he finally agrees. Okay, I'll go back. And then that giant spinning blade.
And then Noah's like, boop, 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 boop.
and he gets chopped up. He has an arm and his head and a little bit of his body left. And she dodges the thing, and she grabs onto his arm. But I guess it's not well put together because
and he falls.
Yeah, the arm breaks, and he falls and he dies.
You're like, wow, that was pointless.
I was like, thank God. But after that, then I don't know. She cries for a little bit, and then this movie ends with her gearing up.
We flash forward a couple months.
Yeah,
she's worked her way up through the motorball ranks or whatever.
And she's gonna play for the championship, and she's
basically trying to get to Zalem so she can kill Nova is what she's trying to work her way up to. Because I guess if you become like the grand champion or whatever, you get to go to Zalem.
We discover that Nova is played by no other
than Edward Norton. He takes his little goggles off. I was like, oh, God.
I was like, that's kind of funny. But, okay.
He actually leaned over and laughed at me, and I just laughed and shook my head at the same time.
But that wraps up this movie here.
That wraps up the movie. I guess maybe a little bit of sequel baiting there at the end.
Yeah, a lot of sequel baiting. I don't know if it's going to make... You know what? I will say that for a Saturday 1:30 showing at the local AMC, it was pretty full.
It was decently busy.
There was a lot of people there. The people behind us didn't sound like they enjoyed it too much. One of the women was like, so what was the point of that movie after it was over? I was like, oh.
Sequel baiting. No.
Sequel baiting. But, okay, I guess we'll just kind of wrap up our thoughts about it. Like I said, I think it needed to be a lot more streamlined. A lot of the stuff needed to be left out. I mean, you got to decide when you're doing this, are you making a faithful adaptation or are you making a good movie? Because a lot of times they can't go hand in hand. They can't both be done when you're trying to cram so much content. Like for example, the Avatar Last Airbender movie, which, I mean, there's a lot of things wrong with that movie, but they took, I don't know, like 30 hours of content and tried to condense it down to 2 hours. First of all, Shyamalan's probably not the man for the job. And second of all, I mean, it just can't be done. Same thing happened with the Full Metal Alchemist Netflix movie. Same thing happened with the Death Note Netflix movie. You just can't do it. it just can't be done. You really have to basically rewrite the story and just, leave the main elements in and just kind of fit it in, make a narrative that's going to work for 2 hours. They didn't, I don't think they more successfully did it here than they have done.
And I think some of the things that they did for this was really in hopes of this movie makes enough money that they can make a sequel and maybe continue to tell this story.
Yeah. Because I feel like a lot of the bounty hunters that we see in that bar scene are probably major characters in the manga, but are just kind of
there
background characters here. And I know they want to make sequels and stuff, but I'm not going to recommend they make a sequel. I don't think they'll make enough money for it. I'm sure this movie had to cost. I mean, I know they don't have a lot of they got some pretty big name actors, but no one.
Christoph Waltz, Mahershala Ali, there's some decent names there.
Jennifer Connelly.
Jennifer Connelly. It's Skrein.
But no one that's going to cost Sarah. But
no one that's like a Robert Downey going to cost $100 million.
The special effects alone, the CGI alone. I mean, this movie, the budget for this movie has to be astronomical. I don't know what it is, but I don't think it'll make enough. It might make enough money in China, because China's a huge market and it's kind of a type of movie that usually does well in China. So they might make enough money overseas and in Japan.
Budget of $170 million.
Yeah, so they might make enough money between China and Japan to justify a sequel. We'll just have to see.
It's made $51.9 million in basically 2 or 3 days.
That's not bad. I feel like it'll probably be a pretty steep drop off once the fans, because the fans of the manga are going to show up before it's the opening weekend. Then, yeah. But and of course they got some. What's coming out next weekend?
How to Train Your Dragon.
Yeah, they got some pretty steep competition coming out next weekend. So I doubt it'll have very very long running legs. But anyway, so I guess I need to give it my star ranking. I'm gonna give it 2.5 cyborg bodies out of 5. I know that sounds kind of low, but I think it's about what it deserves. Like I said, probably still the best anime/manga adaptation I've seen by a pretty decent margin. But it's got special effects are astounding. The world they created visually is beautiful, but narratively it's just not there. No. They struggle to pull this narrative off in a live action movie, and I think that if James Cameron wouldn't have been so preoccupied with Avatar and would have actually made this himself, probably would have been better. But it's what I
gotta give Robert Rodriguez credit though. I mean, he did a good job with it.
Yeah, I mean, Robert Rodriguez is not. I mean, I feel like his name's thrown around a lot. His claim to fame is still Sin City. He did that Predators movie that was okay.
Spy Kids.
He did Spy Kids. The first Spy Kids is pretty decent little movie. The sequels got kind of. I don't know how many of them he did. Did he do the first three?
He did the first 3.
The second one's all right. The third one's
From Dusk Till Dawn's okay.
Dusk Till Dawn, which I feel like Quentin Tarantino had a lot of influence on how that went.
He wrote it, so
yeah. So had some help there. I mean, he's an all right director. I don't think he's proven himself to be astounding. But he makes serviceable movies, and that's what this is. It's a serviceable blockbuster entertainment. So like I said, 2.5 stars, which is right in the middle. So that's what I'm going to stick with.
Yeah, I'm about on the same page as you. I mean, overall, visually, like you said, the CGI in this movie is great. It's a lot better than I thought it was going to be. The CGI and the visual effects in this movie, which I mean, I don't know why I expected anything less coming from James Cameron and his production team, especially after 10 years of working on Avatar. Like, how could they not make a visually stunning movie after that? Which we'll talk about another day. My thoughts on Avatar. But I mean, overall, this is visually. It's like you said, it's stunning. It's visually great. It's one of the most visually appealing movies I've seen in a long time, and I'll give it that. I feel like had we seen this movie in 3D, this movie definitely would benefit from that 3D experience. And you can just tell by the way it's shot and the way it's put together and some of the certain scenes in the movie.
Speaking of the 3D, I forgot to mention this, but I think this is probably in part to help the 3D. But this movie is really underlit in parts. Like, most of it occurs at night, and sometimes it was really dark. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of 3D movies are like that. I mean, if you'd had the glasses on, I don't think you'd been able to see half this movie. But, I'm sure it was nice in 3D. I'm not going to pay $3 extra bucks or whatever it is to see it in 3D.
2 at our theater.
Oh, well, because you're cheap. I'm not gonna.
We didn't even get it in 3D. Sadly.
I'm not gonna pay that extra money to watch it in 3D. But I'm sure it looks all right in 3D.
Yeah, but I mean, like you said, narratively, it just doesn't quite work. I mean, I've never read the manga. I've never really seen, or I've never read any manga, honestly, and I've never really watched any anime, which is I know is like a sin to Aaron. But as far as, me judging, based on someone's opinion who does not, watch that kind of stuff or doesn't, I'm not part of that culture of people who enjoy that sort of thing. Speaking from just a film standpoint, it's definitely got some narrative problems. It doesn't quite flow very well, and the dialogue is clunky, and there are definitely a lot of things that could have been cut out. But overall, I mean, it was decent. I mean, it was pretty entertaining. It ran a little long, in my opinion. It could have ended multiple times in the last 30 minutes, and I would have been like, okay, that's a good end. Okay, that's a good end. Okay, that's a good end. But, like I said, a little bit over long, which is really interesting considering the fact that it's only like a 2-hour and 2-minute movie, including the credits. But, I mean, I'm right there with you. I'll give it 2.5 stars. I mean, I feel like you said, that's what it deserves. It's a middle-of-the-road movie. It's not terrible for early 2019 either. It's not like a terrible early year film. I've seen worse in early year.
There is an anime adaptation coming out, a big budget anime adaptation coming out later this year that may claim its title for best anime adaptation. Maybe Detective Pikachu.
Detective Pikachu, yeah.
We'll have to see. I have started a journey of trying to watch as much Pokemon as I can before that movie comes out, so I can be kind of well versed in Pokemon lore before that movie comes out, to see if I think it's faithful or deserving of it calling itself a Pokemon adaptation, spinoff, whatever. But so we'll see if it holds up against that movie. I think this will be a fun movie to compare and contrast against that movie, how they handle it. But
I guess we'll see in
May 10th.
May, yeah.
So anyway, I guess that wraps up our review of this movie. We haven't talked about trailers in a while. Is there any major big trailers?
I think we've got some decent trailers that have come out here recently.
We didn't talk about the new Jordan Peele movie, Us.
We have not talked about that.
That was a while back. But do you think it'll be Get Out level good? What do you think?
I think with this cast that it has in it, it has the potential to be better than Get Out.
Yeah, I like Get Out.
Lupita Nyong'o is great.
I think Get Out's
I really like her. I thoroughly enjoyed Get Out. I thought it was really, really clever and it was a really well-made movie, despite what some people think. Jordan Peele did an excellent job, especially coming from a comedy background, making such a great quote-unquote horror movie, more of a psychological thriller / drama. I thought he did a great job, and I think this one has the potential to be better than that one. I think the story looks really interesting. It looks like it's a really cool idea, and I'm excited to see what Jordan Peele can do with it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see it. I'll probably go see it.
Probably. I think it's on our schedule.
I think it's on our schedule, so darn it. No, it'll be fun. We got a few horror movies on our schedule.
Let's see.
Including
another trailer that's come out recently. We got the Pet Sematary 2 trailer, which Aaron doesn't care for because it kind of,
The second trailer, we won't give away the big spoiler
basically
here.
Spoils the entire movie.
It spoils the big, plot twist that they're going to differ from the book. The second trailer, not just because of that reason. The second trailer has other stuff that makes me kind of sketchy on that movie. But like I said, I'm not going to spoil the big plot twist if you haven't seen that trailer and you don't want to know it. So don't check out that trailer. Just watch the movie. Just watch the first trailer. I think it's a good enough.
Another horror movie trailer we got here recently. We got the first trailer for the Child's Play remake.
Yeah, we didn't see much. We don't see much.
We don't see Chucky really at all.
Yeah, we see a silhouette of him, with his face kind of blacked out.
At the very end, yeah. Aubrey Plaza's in this movie.
It looks like it could be. It looks like, I can't tell really.
It's definitely a more modern take on this story.
It looks more like an evil little robot than a
I think that's what I'm getting
doll.
from it. It's set. I think it's set in the future. It looks like it might be set a little time, like it's not like too far in the future, but just slightly futuristic, like maybe in the next 5 years or something like that. It could be set in 2025 maybe.
Yeah.
Because I think the doll is it's like a robotic doll.
It looks like a robotic doll. That's what I get.
That's what I gathered.
And there's a scene in the trailer that looks like maybe there's a whole factory of them gone bad or something.
I guess we'll find out.
But I guess we'll find out. So
could be good. What else have we got?
What else have we got that's major?
Frozen 2.
I did not watch that teaser yet.
Did you not see that? Oh, well, it's Frozen 2.
Is it Frozen 2?
I don't want to see that.
Yeah. I feel like there's another one that I'm just
Tolkien.
Tolkien. We watched that. Maybe. The trailer looks interesting.
It could be interesting. I think it'll be cool to see the backstory of where such great movies came from. The Lord of the Rings trilogy, not the Hobbit.
Novels. The novels.
Yeah, the Lord of the Rings trilogy of novels.
You said movies.
Did I say movies?
I think you did. Which,
I
I mean,
just
the
said
movies come
trilogy,
from the
but-
novels, but whatever. Anyway, yeah, it could be interesting. I feel like there's a major one that I thought we should talk about that I'm just
Did we
not
talk
thinking
about the Spider-Man one? That came out a while back.
of. Maybe briefly. I don't remember. It looks all right. I mean, I love
Be all right.
Spider-Man. Could be pretty good. I'm
I think
excited
Jake
to see.
Gyllenhaal's
Yeah,
Mysterio will be good.
Jake Gyllenhaal and Mysterio. But yeah, so I mean, it's an exciting year in movies.
There's a lot of stuff coming out.
There's a lot of stuff coming out. Star Wars just wrapped filming
Yeah.
this
like
week.
This past week and
So,
earlier this week.
we'll
So
see.
we should probably expect a trailer sometime within the next month to 2 months as they start editing.
Yeah, we'll see.
Or start that post-production process.
It'll be interesting to see how that goes down. Still kind of excited for it.
Dear God, please be a good movie.
But anyway, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap this episode up. We've been talking for a while, so why don't you go ahead and plug our social media sites?
Yeah, man. We are up on Facebook. We're up on Instagram and Twitter. You can find us at DNA Film Wars, all lowercase, no space on all those platforms. So, as always, just go ahead and give us a like or a follow on those and tell your friends about us if you like us.
Yeah, if you have any specific questions and or comments, you can always contact us at dnafilmwars@gmail.com. As always, we are up on all the big, important podcasting services
Pretty much most of them.
that I know of.
Yeah, and
And,
if you don't want to listen on one of those, or you're just not in a place where you can listen to one of those, we're up on YouTube as well with our audio files. So
Yep, so as always, I'm Aaron.
I'm Dylan. We'll catch you in the next one.
I'm not your daughter. I don't know what I am.
I do. You're the most advanced weapon ever. But that's just a shell. It's not bad or good. That part's up to you.
I do not stand by in the presence of evil.
She's threatening the natural order of things.
Tonight is not a game. It is a hunt. I need you to destroy a girl called Alita.
You made the biggest mistake of your life.
And what's that?
Underestimating who I am.